Okay, ladies, you're going to need a brick or a tightly rolled towel for this practice. Half an hour blast on the pelvic floor and deep core muscles. I'm going to get you just to warm up the pelvic area first of all, though. So take your feet wide-ish on your mat. I always like to have a bit of a wobble over the feet just to get the ankles waking up. So a little bit of a circle with the feet massaging around. And remember, pretty much everything I do, you want to imagine that our feet are plugging down into the ground. So if you imagine a three-pronged plug, two of the prongs are through your heel and one of the prongs are through the ball of your foot. So we want to be pressing down through the back prongs in particular, really pressing down so that we can recoil upwards with our bodies. So drop down now into a bit of a goddess stance with your knees bent, weighted through those prongs in the heels, and then take the pelvis around the clock face, maybe hands on hips, and start to take some long, smooth breaths. Imagine that your breathing is pouring down into your belly, massaging around the pelvic organs, maybe taking the hands up, shoulders away from ears though, to create space here underneath the armpits for your intercostal muscles to stretch with your breathing. Take it in the other direction with your pelvis. Lovely, just warming these guys up. Fabulous. And then take the hands around. We're going to give ourselves a bit of a swish. Hands away, shoulders away from ears. Turn the palms so that as you swish, it feels like you're pushing your hands through something, like through water, through treacle, pushing like so. Lovely. That's the way. And then just take your hands, give your upper back a little bit of a pat here, and then come back again, roll those shoulders back, give them a massage. Take all the weight over onto one leg, up onto the other toes. Bring the knee in. So we're working here on the hip joint and out. In, out, in, out. Now exhale as you bring the knee in. So okay, once you've got that action, you can take the hands opposite. So you come into the twist. We are adducting that hip joint, bringing it inwards, 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 inwards. Make sure that your bent knee, your standing leg, you're weighted down through those prongs through the heel. So you're not pushing forward into the ball of your foot. You're in the heel of your foot. And then take that onto the other side. So come up onto those other toes. Pull inwards, inwards, inwards. So you feel like the ball and socket joint is massaging around, rolling around, rolling around. And once you've got that action, make it a little bit more groovy. Loosening up those joints, getting a bit of warmth through the rotator muscles. We're going to be squeezing these guys. Very good. I'm going to get you to come across to your bit of wall space. When we have tight calf muscles and hamstrings, it tends to pull our pelvis posteriorly and we tend to push our pelvis forward. So hands on wall, one foot forward, other foot back. This is my left foot forward, my right foot back. Start to push the wall away, and as you do so, drop the heel towards the ground. So we're getting a lovely stretch into the into the bulk of the calf muscle. Keep the shoulders away from your ears. Start to push your hands a bit more firmly into the wall and see if you can experience a zipping up sensation through your lower belly. So from the pubic bone, zipping upwards, scooping the lower belly upwards towards your tummy, towards your ribs, and start to do your activation breath. As if you're blowing out a candle. And then start to draw your knee closer to the wall, coming up onto the ball of the foot, dropping the knee almost into the wall. So the foot is close here, just to get into these hip flexors. Taking the hand up towards the ceiling if that feels all right. Lengthening from your foot through to your fingertips. Breathe in deeply. Good. Take that down. Just turn yourself to the side for a moment. Take your hand onto the wall for stability. You're going to push the floor away, come up, and see if you can reach the fingers towards the wall. Hips go into the middle of the room. So you're pressing down through that outside foot, really sinking through the heel, up and over taking yourself into a bit of a C shape, which is lengthening the side of the body, dropping down. We'll do that on the other side. So right foot forward this time, dropping the heel down, getting into the calf muscles, pressing the wall away, starting to activate through deep core, scooping upwards. As you press the heel down, you push the wall away. So you're getting into the Achilles and the calf. Really good for just vascular flow down through the legs as well. Varicose veins and things around the vulva can often be because of tight legs. Okay, and up onto toes, shuffle them back a bit, knee towards the wall, and then maybe lifting heart center, maybe lifting that left hand as well to create a full front body stretch here. Ah. Sigh the breath out for this one. And then just flipping around to the other side. So outer foot pressing into the mat, stretching up and over. You can feel the whole sideways stretching here. Beautiful. And coming down. Good. Give your whole body a shake. Grab your brick or your rounded, your folded up towel, whatever you've got here. Now, first of all, before we take it between our legs, I want you to take yourself so you're in Tadasana with your feet just pelvis width apart, toes going straight forward. So try not to be here. And we want to push down and out through the outside prong so that if we can feel the outer thigh muscles starting to activate a little bit, we can feel the bum activating a little bit. And it feels like this inner arch is having a little bit of an energy, not all the way over, a little bit of an energetic lift upwards. Now we want to inhale, let the pelvic floor, let everything relax. As we breathe out, see if you can push the prongs into the ground and get a little bit of activation through the pelvic floor, zipping up high-waisted jeans towards your tummy button. Inhale, soften, imagine your pelvic floor is relaxing downwards and outwards. Exhale, push the floor away, zipping upwards. If you imagine there is a ping pong ball right at the vaginal entrance, as you breathe out, you're picking up the ping pong ball. And as you breathe in, you're just releasing the ping pong ball or the egg or the blueberry, pushing the floor away, zipping upwards, lifting and squeezing a little bit, and then releasing it down. You want to let go of the ping pong ball. Let's do a bit of breath as well. And then out. And then make this a little bit more dynamic. And then down. You're pushing your feet down and out. So keep going with that. I want you to get that edge of your foot in particular pushing down into the ground in order for you to recoil up. Good. Let's make it a bit bigger now. So push on your, if you've got a brick, push inwards on your brick so that we start to get the core muscles working. When we push our hands together, we get our core muscles working too. Push the floor away, coming up. Now, keep going with this. I want you to just check in that you're not starting to push forward at the end of your squat. And we're coming now into squats. We've just done a little bit of an extension into squats here. Make sure your behind is behind you. And at the top, you're not doing that. You stop with your behind staying behind you. Squeeze in on the side of your brick, or if you've got a pillow, squeezing inwards. Make sure you're pushing downwards and slightly outwards with the heels of your feet. You're breathing out like you're blowing out a candle. Beautiful. Just pause there. Give your pelvis a swirl around. Nice. And we're going to take whatever you've got and put it between the legs. So now we get a little bit of activation through the adductors as well. That at least we can perceive that sensation. If you find that your feet are too close together, try it on the wider one there. If that's not comfortable though, it doesn't need to be anywhere in particular along your thighs. So just find a bit where it's not too uncomfortable. I'm going to go halfway up. And then same thing, drop down through your heels and we're going to push up. As we push upwards, do a little bit of a squeeze inwards and then lifting up and then relaxing so you almost drop the brick. Squeeze inwards as you come up and relaxing downwards. Blowing out the candle as you come up, breathing in. Now, as you breathe in and drop down, imagine you're about to drop the block and see if you can imagine you are dropping that ping pong ball as well. So we do want to get the release of the pelvic floor. That's it. We're going to do these next few ones very slowly. So squeeze and lift. That's it. Now relax the pelvic floor, relax your knees as you come down. Squeeze and lift. Relax the pelvic floor, relax your thighs a bit as you come down. Again, squeeze and lift. And then relax it. Come over to your bit of wall. Take your back against the wall. Feet a little bit further apart. And do some cat and cows with your pelvis. So you're flattening the lower back against the wall, and then you're getting a bit of a dip here with your lumbar spine. So you're mobilizing the pelvis against the wall here. Breathing out as you tuck your tail and flatten your back. Beautiful. And then just come into neutral. Take your feet a little bit further apart and take your brick between your thighs. Like I said, you can use a folded pillow, so it's still got a bit of spring to it, but you've got about the same width here. Now draw yourself down. You want to be not completely imprinted, not tummy to spine here. You want to have a tiny gap through your lower back, but it's like when we're doing getting tall against the wall. You need to plug your heels down into the ground. So especially through that outer prong. And then do a little squeeze through the inner thigh. See if you can feel activation through your pelvic floor. And imagine those high-waisted jeans are zipping up and your corset is slightly tightening inwards. Breathing out. Good, and then just come up. Slide yourself forward, stretching the back of your legs here. Take a break. Shoulders away from ears. Back is pretty straight. Legs are pretty straight. Doesn't matter if you're bending them a little bit at all, but we start to look to straighten them to get a stretch here. Good. Bend the knees again. Slide your way back again. Thighs squeezing a little bit into brick, so into neutral spine. We draw the thighs inwards. We feel a bit of activation through the pelvic floor. We're zipping upwards through the vagina towards the tummy button. We feel the corset starting to tighten a little bit in towards spine. We breathe out. If you want to make it harder, drop down a little bit. Into that chair. Beautiful. Slowly push your way up. Now take your feet wide-ish. Slide your bottom downwards. You've got your sitting bones against the wall here. Slide downwards here. I'm just going to use my brick to balance against like that. Slide your sitting bones wide and then use your elbows or your forearms just to gently press them a bit wider here. So we get a nice inner thigh stretch, releasing those adductor muscles now. Try to let your pelvic floor be relaxed. Shoulders are right away from the ears, chin is tucked in though, so you're not sort of up here, not dropping your head. Got a bit of activation through the upper back muscles. Good. Slide yourself down onto your mat. Knees wide here, dropping your bum back towards your heels. Take the brick out in front of you and then imagine you're kind of sliding it away until you get full extension through the spine. Keep your shoulders rolling away from your ears and just enjoy that deep stretch through the inner thighs here. If you've got prolapse, you want to just keep your tail a little bit higher, just a little bit higher, okay? But the weight of our organs is dropping on our pubic bone and our lower belly. Shoulders rolling away from ears, jaw is soft. Breathing into the lower lobes of the back of your lungs. Beautiful. Slowly coming up. I'm going to get you to take your brick, place it between your legs again. Now, just see if it's okay on that length. If it feels too close, go on to the wider length. So I'm going to go into the wider length here. See what feels good for you. We're going to drop back. This is relaxed. We're not holding the brick too much. As we breathe out, blowing out the candle, we draw ourselves forward, slight squeeze on the brick, zipping up through pelvic floor, through lower belly towards the ribs, pausing with our shoulders over our wrists. So this is weight bearing here. Drop back to release, to soften, to breathe in. Breathing out, blowing out the candle, zipping, coming forward, pausing, weight bearing, core activation, and drop back down again. Good. Breathing out to come forward, zipping upwards, and then come down. Try to keep your pelvis pretty neutral. So we don't have to tip the tail up. We're not rounding too much. It's pretty much the same. We're just doing the action through our legs. And of course, we'll weight bearing once we get forward like this. And back again. And back. One more. And back. Pause here. Just take the brick out of the way for a moment. Pause here, knees together. Drop the hips from side to side. So we release, and we release, and we release. And then take your bum. Imagine your tail is stuck to your sacrum, and we just want to swirl it around. So give your hips a big massaging circle. One direction, and then the other direction. Lovely. Okay, taking your brick again. So we'll do this without a brick, and then we'll put the brick in. So first of all, fists underneath shoulders. Now, they can't be here or here. You really need to have your fists directly underneath your shoulders. And pause for a moment. Give yourself a moment to get into that tabletop with your back. So base of the rib cage is slightly in. Chin is drawn in. This is Jalandhara Bandha here. Crown of the head is forward, tail is straight back. Bend the elbows slightly to start off with, so the eyes of the elbows are facing each other. And just have a go doing the action that we did when we were standing up, where you activate the pelvic floor. So you feel like you're stopping yourself weeing, and then you scoop through the lower belly and you zip upwards, tight, high-rested jeans towards your tummy button, and then you release it again. So zipping upwards, contraction, and letting go. Now we're going to zip upwards, contract, and hold it there, then tuck your toes and push the floor away with your fists. So you start to straighten your arms a bit, and your knees nearly suck off the ground, not quite. Keep breathing out like you're blowing out the candle. And then release it. Just take your bum back towards your heels, fingertips out in front of you, roll the shoulders away from the ears. If your head doesn't drop to the ground, put your head onto your brick for a moment. Pelvic floor releasing, releasing, releasing. So when you do the releasing part, you loosen your jaw and you sigh out. Yeah, so that encourages the pelvic floor to relax. So let's do the same thing, this time with your brick between your knees. So we get a bit of adductor activation. It makes the contraction that little bit stronger. So fists are underneath shoulders, elbows slightly bent to start off with, a little bit of a zip upwards. Now start to squeeze your thighs towards the brick, so squeeze into the brick, start to push the floor away. You're breathing out, you're blowing out the candle. It's one of those annoying birthday candles that don't go very easily, so you go keep zipping up. Beautiful, well done. All right, I'm going to get you to take your knees to one side of your mat, roll down, come onto your back, take your knees into your chest, and then take your knees apart and do big circles like this. Massaging circles. So we release, release, release. One direction and then the other direction. Fabulous. Okay, and then put your feet towards each other, grab hold of your shins, and just gently press your forearms into your thighs and give yourself a bit of a rock from side to side so you get a nice massage across the sacrum there. Feel the inner thigh starting to open. And I always like to do a little movement through the ankles as well. Any opportunity to mobilize the feet and the ankles, take it. It's really, really super important for pelvic health that our feet are stay mobile in the other direction. Stay strong and mobile. Fabulous. Okay, so feet down. We're going to use the brick in a second. But so what we're going to do in a second is squeeze in on the brick, get that extra activation through pelvic floor, and then zip upwards, and then feel like you've got a corset on, one of those old-fashioned corsets that are drawing in, so the base of the rib cage comes slightly in, but super important that this is zipped up first. So have a go, just breathing out and squeezing, and then lifting and kind of squeezing, tightening inwards. And then we're going to hold that with the brick, and we're just going to keep breathing out. So we hold the contraction for our slow twitch muscles. So take your brick or your folded, your rolled up blanket, whatever you've got here. And I'm going to get you, first of all, just to squeeze gently in, not too hard, just gently in, and see if you can feel, it's like these sliding ranch doors, just snapping close. Do that for a moment, squeeze, and then release it. Do that a couple of times, squeeze, and then release. And then this time, squeeze inwards, and then feel that zipping upwards towards your tummy button. Keep breathing out, and then see if you can feel your corsetory muscles tightening a little bit. So you feel your obliques, your external recti muscles, your back muscles kind of sucking in towards your spine a little bit. And then let the whole thing go so you almost relax and drop the brick. Yeah, okay, and we'll do that again. So squeeze first of all into the brick just a little bit. See if you can feel that activation through your pelvic floor. Keep breathing out. Imagine you're zipping up tight, high-waisted jeans. So you're starting to suck that contraction up towards your tummy button. And then see if you can tighten the corset a little bit more. Maybe even hands on the base of the rib here. And keep breathing out to hold this contraction. And then let it all go. Keep the brick between your legs. We're just going to start to plug those heels down into the ground. So make sure your toes are facing straight forward. Plug the heels into the ground, slight squeeze on the brick as you roll up through your spine, and then roll back down. And as you release, imagine you're about to drop the brick. So you squeeze in, you push your heels into the ground as you roll up. You roll back down, almost release the brick, nearly. Pressing and squeezing and lifting, hold, slowly roll down and soften. Squeeze, contracting, lifting, rolling up, and slowly coming down. Beautiful. Just take your brick, place it underneath your pelvis. Allow those psoas muscles to soften for a moment. And then I'm going to get you to do the same thing we did before. Just take your knees wider, grabbing hold of your shins and gently pressing outwards. Massage your ankles again. Good. That's it. So gently start to push. And you might do a tiny movement across your brick if that feels okay. Soft breath now. Soft jaw. And then see if you can move your knees towards, I'm just going to move my brick. Move your knees towards your armpits. So your heels start to push up towards the ceiling, toes towards the ground. A bit wider through these inner thighs. And just take your hands and kind of squeeze, to press outwards towards your knees. So release towards your knees here. Release, release, release. Good. And then massage those feet again. Knees dropping down towards the armpits. Really quite wide. So going right into those inner thighs, right up towards the groin. Lovely. One knee in, other leg stretching out, going to the psoas. Stretch the side of your body, so half baby pose with the right knee, left leg stretching, left hand stretching right into the psoas muscle, the front of the pelvis there. Nice full breath. And then the other side, knee up and over. So going to that left hip flexor, squeezing it, opening up into the right hip flexor, lengthening it on the side. And feel the whole opening through the groin. Good. Take that breath away, roll onto your tummy, coming into Sphinx pose. So forearms on the mat, shoulders away from the ears, toes into the ground. Now pull yourself forward with your forearms pushing down and pulling back. So your chest goes forward and you just get a nice stretch up through your core muscles. Drop one shoulder, look over the other shoulder so we get a bit of a twist through the shoulders, but also a stretch right across that front line of the body. One direction, and then the other direction. And then take your hands underneath your forehead, drop your forehead down so your chin is tucked in, toes right in, heels right out. So we can open up the back of the pelvis and just rock from side to side. So you wobble your bum and you massage over your belly and you just let that whole pelvic area relax. And I want you to do some long exhalations now, preferably with a little bit of extended low vibrational sound. So a buzzing sound, a humming sound, a ha sound. Any low vibrational sound will extend the exhalation, and it also just helps all of these muscle fibers to soften and relax. Beautiful. Press yourself back into an extended child pose. Knees wide again, sitting bones wide, fingertips on the mat, wrists are off the mat, shoulders rolling away, stretch the whole body. Breathing in, sighing out, breathing in, sighing out, and then swirl, come up and swirl your pelvis again. Release, release, one direction, release, release. Beautiful. Let's come and sit. Loosely crossed ankles here. Come up and over to one side. So we're opening up the sideways there, just releasing any residual tightening that we've created. Up and over, up and over. Pivot forward slightly from the hip joints. You just letting yourself come forward so you can feel it in your hips here. Little stretch through those sitting bones. Scoop through the heart center to come up. Swap the other ankle in front. Same thing, just winding forward from the hip joints. Feeling that stretch right up into the sitting bones. They're spreading apart. Good. Scoop through the heart center, come up, and just give yourself a gentle rinsing twist. So this is Sukhasana twist, easy twist. Really nice to give the spine an opportunity to twist. Fabulous. Give yourself a deep breath in. Hold the top of the breath, and then just go. Thank you so much. Namaste.